Welcome to USA Global TV and Radio, where our mission is to provide education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. USA Global TV and Radio connects you with experts and audiences all around the world every single day to help you succeed in business and to live a richer life. Visit us at usaglobaltv.com to learn about career and life-changing training and mentoring programs like the Listening Mentor. Subscribe to our newsletter to stay informed about our special programs and offers. Discover how you can become a guest on one of our shows or a host or producer of a USA Global TV and Radio show of your very own. That's USA Global TV and Radio, where the doctor is always in.
Good morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you are in the world. Thank you for joining us. At USA Global TV and Radio, we gladly provide world education, entertainment, news, hope, and inspiration. Our show today is the United Kingdom News and Culture, episode 134. Dr. Jacalyn, the host of our show, is out on business today, but she will be back. Let's welcome our first team member, the incredibly talented royal photographer, co-host of the Royally Rich Lifestyle, co-host of the Royal Breaking News from London. She's also a royal expert and a woman in the know, HELENA CHARD.
Hey, lovely to see you. Thank you for the lovely intro as always, Diane.
Well, you're just so talented. I'm sure there's more that you could share with the audience. But so everybody, please make sure you look up this incredibly amazing human being. I love you so much, Helena. You do so much good work globally, too, and helping others. So
good. Oh, thank you so much. I enjoy it. I love it, actually. I really do. I love what I do. And I think it's so important, isn't it? So important. Do what you love.
Yes.
It's good.
I'm just this real big believer that we all have a beautiful light and shine that shines upon us or inside us. And the more we can share it and help others bring glow to themselves, it just helps brighten the world.
Yay, love that. Perfect. So perfect.
It's so perfect. Well, let's bring out our other member, our Scottish team member. He is the fabulous chef, author, speaker, sailor, and so much more. He will be sharing with us some of his own takes on the royal news and some Scottish updates, as well as Scottish history. Please welcome Simon Macdonald.
Hello again. It's Wednesday and it's a lovely, bright, sunny day, if not a little bit cold here in the west of Scotland. But it's just wall-to-wall sunshine today. Yippee.
We're so happy for you and a little jealous. I'll send you. Yeah. Does anybody want some Texas heat?
A little bit, yes. It is quite cold. I mean, the sun is open.
I'll take that as a yes from both of you since you all both get excited.
Oh, really fancy it. Oh, so good.
If you haven't made it over to the United Kingdom, please make sure you figure out how to save your pennies and get over there because the culture is so beautiful and the countryside is just exquisite. And you're just a train ride away from Wales and other places as well. I know I still need to get over to Scotland and get busy over there. And I think I've been to the UK, I think at least 10 or 11 times, so to different parts, but I still haven't made it to the northern part of England, so I still need to do that.
Yes, well, get into Scotland. I mean, there, life begins when you get into Scotland.
Oh,
no, not at all. London's the hub of it. London's the hub of all the life. No, it's all beautiful. It's all beautiful. It's always good to explore.
Yeah. It is so beautiful. And even though y'all get a lot of cold and it gets a little rainy sometimes, but that's what makes it so beautiful there. So the flowers,
So
Yeah.
true. I was in Cyprus, and gosh, I love the heat because we don't have enough, I feel, in the UK. And so I always miss it. But then it's always really good because then I look forward to going back to a sunnier climate.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I just wish. I think Dr. J, I think she's going to bring some sunshine over with her in
Oh,
October.
I'm sure she will when she comes. And anytime, I mean, Cyprus is incredible. I love Cyprus. We almost moved there. But anytime, it's a little bit further than just going across the pond to get to Texas, but it's worth it if you want some of this heat. I'm happy to share it with you.
One day, something I'm going to work towards, definitely.
That'd be great. Well, anyway, I guess we better get started. Helena, are you ready to share with us some great updates?
Ooh, yes, I'm going to share some tidbits, just some little, not all the royal news, but I'm going to give some updates of various bits and pieces. So thank you very much. I've done a couple of broadcasts today, and in fact, lots of people have been interested in the Princess of Wales, which always excites me, actually, because I'm so thrilled for her. But I think to begin with, let's start with Prince William. He has been in Aberdeen in Scotland, as we know, and this is for Homewards. Now, this is his campaign that he's working on to eradicate homelessness in the UK, and we've seen him doing a few things. We've actually even seen the Princess of Wales, I think, at Crathy Kirk. She was having a few days away. That was recently, I think, away from the children, just to have a little bit of a breather. And we also had Prince William announcing the 15 Earthshot Prize finalists for 2024, obviously a shared mission to repair and restore our planet. And also, he had a meeting with the SAS. Now, that's the Special Forces Unit. I would love to know what was discussed so I could share it with you, but obviously it's top secret and they'd probably kill me and you. Everyone that hears. So always good to know. But again, to go back to the Princess of Wales. Now, she recently shared with us about her lengthy recovery journey, and the fact that she's intending to enter into a light schedule of engagements. So it's really good to see that this is actually happening, and really exciting as well that one of the highlights of the royal calendar, which is the Carol concert in December, is something that she's working towards as well. So she had a meeting in Windsor, a round table meeting, last week, I think it was, with her household team and team for the early childhood project that she works on. And just a reminder that her childhood project is so important. This is her lifelong mission. Obviously, because the root cause of today's hardest social challenges, addiction, family breakdown, poor mental health, suicide, homelessness, lots of things. So it's really important to work with young children. Anyway, this is her life project, but she has shown such determination, and I think that's what's so exciting about it. The fact that she had that one meeting, and yesterday had another meeting in Windsor where she was talking about the highlight. It's called the annual Together Christmas Carol concert, unless it's changed. That's normally what it's called. She's worked on this for 4 years, and I just love the fact that she's obviously feeling well, and we can't take it that she's back to work full time. And I know that people are sort of mumbling about various things, but it's such a lovely thing that she works on, and also to remember that the concert's put on for local charities, and there's a host of celebrity names every year, so it's all very exciting. So we need to watch out for that. But one thing I wanted to say, and I think people sort of expected her to suddenly race into work, but to remember as well that she is a rock for her husband, the future king, and she has a young family. So it's so important to, she wants to be with her family at a crucial time. I think Louis is only 6, so it's something that she can work towards, because being the future queen, obviously, if you think about the late Queen Elizabeth and Prince Philip as well, I mean, goodness me, she could be working into her hundreds, and I think we can give her a break to look after her children. Trooping of the Colour we've seen her at, Wimbledon, the Cenotaph will be coming up on November the 10th, which is very important, and obviously then we've got the Christmas Carol concert to look forward to. So moving on, Prince Andrew, naughty Prince Andrew. What are we going to do with Prince Andrew, the naughty Prince Andrew? A very royal scandal has dropped. And I have to say, I haven't watched it all the way through, but I have watched snippets, and I can see it's a merciless portrayal of Prince Andrew. He is said to actually be relieved that he feels a very royal scandal sort of sunk without trace. So he doesn't feel that people have picked up on it too much. So he was obviously thinking it'd be worse than it is, but it really does show him as a foul-mouthed, entitled, arrogant man. But this has also been completely dramatised, as you can imagine. This is also from Emily Mathis' point of view. That's the interviewer. But it also has the heart of Buck Powell and also Royal Lodge in it. There are a few good points where it really shows him being a great father to Beatrice and Eugenie, his wonderful girls, even though it shows him in a bombastic way. I think now is time he has to give up Royal Lodge. I think everything is indicating he really has to, and obviously it will make things a lot easier for him. One of the updates we've heard is that one of the alternative homes, which Fergie, she has made a major call on this. It was a possible residence that he could live in with her, so that's Royal Lodge where he needs to move out of, and everyone's pushing him to do that. I think for his daughters as well, because obviously, in due course, especially when William's king, I do think they will come into their own, and William will need them, and it's not fair that there's any aggro. So I think Andrew really needs to think about his daughters. But the townhouse, which would have been fabulous for them both to move into, is now rented out. Now, this is a 4.25 million townhouse in Belgravia, which is a snippet away from Buck Powell, but it's now been leased out for something like 16,000. I'm talking in UK sterling a month. Although they talk about it being Sarah Ferguson's, but I do believe it's the daughter's inheritance. I'm not too sure about that, but. As we know, we talk about Royal Lodge. King Charles wants Prince Andrew to relocate to a smaller property. He's not going to be funding his security from next month. And this is to persuade his younger brother, who doesn't get on with too well, to move out. It's a complete no-brainer. He should move out because he will be moving to somewhere absolutely fabulous. Next, I want to talk about Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. I don't always talk about them, but I just felt in this situation, this is to do with a photograph of them. And there is no plans to show their picture in the National Portrait Gallery. Now, the photograph is there on the left, as you can see. The picture, a little bit attached on the right, is the wonderful National Portrait Gallery in central London. Well worth a visit. Fabulous. It's free. Amazing photographs. Really lovely photographs in there. So they say they're not going to display it, which is a real upset to them. This black and white portrait was taken at the One Young World Summit in Manchester a couple of years ago, and it's Miss Anne Harriman that we've heard. There's been huge amounts on him. He's their friend who has taken photographs in the past. I think I remember Nissan as well. He was talking about how excited it was going to go into the gallery, but it was sort of given to them, the gallery, in May 2024. But it's actually, what happens is they collect it for cataloguing. It doesn't necessarily mean it's going to go up in the gallery. So I think there's a bit of upset for him and for Harry and Meghan in this instance. But, at the end of the day, hey, they took it on, which is a good sign, and it's probably going to be in the online catalogue, so people will be able to see it. Another thing that I found funny, and I think probably for a different reason, there's been a change in royal protocol, and this is to do with King Charles and Queen Camilla not using the word walkabout. Now, as we know, they have an up-and-coming royal tour, which is early October, to Australia and Samoa. I think it's the 18th and 26th, something like that. But anyway, it's in between that time, and it's a real opportunity where they do walkabouts and the public say hi, etc. But now they are going to not be calling it walkabouts. It's going to be called an opportunity to meet the public. Now, I know it doesn't sound that different, but so this is what's going to be used when meeting royal watchers. It's something, I think Walkabouts was initiated by the late Queen Elizabeth as an informal way for members of the public to meet the royal family, and now to ensure sensitivity towards the Aboriginal community, which in the Aboriginal world, it's walkabouts. It's like a rite of passage into adulthood. So it's an individual's journey through the bush into the Australian outback. I think that's how they talk about it. So I thought that was just something that's just something little, but it means so much. And it also makes you think, doesn't it, how different meaning, you can take different meanings. Something that we think here in the UK means something quite fine means something terrible in another place. So it did make me think a lot. So also the exciting tour will continue to Samoa, as we know, and Their Majesty's engagements will, it's the usual, focus on, themes designed to celebrate the best of Australia and Samoa, and reflecting on all the King and Queen's works. And one of the things, it took me back really to the late Prince Philip, and I know that he used to sort of give some terrible gaffes, but somehow some of them were quite funny and was said, it's sort of pretty old school. But one of the things I remember him saying was, do you still throw spears at each other? But people took it a bit sort of on face value. And this was, he said this to an Indigenous Australian entrepreneur, but he was actually watching a show at the time where it was, people were sort of throwing spears at each other. So it was quite an innocent comment, but it made me chuckle, I have to say. I think sometimes things can be taken a bit too seriously. And I think I'm going to end on something which I really think is really quite lovely. Now, James Middleton, he is the Princess of Wales' brother, lovely chap, really lovely. And he has brought out a new book. And the book is called Meet Ella, the Dog Who Saved My Life. And this is a memoir. It's a book. It talks about the relationship with his dog, who did literally save his life. He was suicidal, not in a good place, and the dog was there for him. Ella's since passed, but he talks about Ella in such a lovely way, talks about the royal family, talks about life, because obviously he's not a royal, but people are so interested in him. It's such a beautiful read, and there are fun things that he talks about, and I think the little things that you learn behind the scenes, and I think one of them is, I'd say that the family, the whole family, including the Waleses, they play a game called Racing Demons, which is a card game. And apparently they get really, really, really competitive. Prince William hates this game, and he always uses this as a time to walk the dog or something like that. But it's a lovely, lovely read. He talks about little things as well when he was in a blind panic, when he was racing to meet Queen Elizabeth for the first time, and he was trying to rehearse his lines, muttering, Your Majesty the Queen and Your Royal Highness Prince Philip, but in his blind panic, and he sort of turned up and he was all crumpled and various things, and he said, sorry, so sorry we're late, Your Royal Majesty, which is obviously not the right protocol, but really good fun. I just think as well, it shows the bond that he has with the Prince of Wales. So a really great sort of brother-in-law bond, and I think despite fractured relationships with Prince Harry, I think that's obviously a good scenario between them. But I would have a read. It's a lovely, lovely read, a lovely, gentle read. Like there are so many other books as well, but really good fun. And I have lots more to talk about. But actually, you know what? I'm going to finish there on the lovely book and see what my lovely colleagues have to say. Thank you very much.
That was great, Helena. So many interesting facts, and I'll definitely have to check out that book. Simon, thoughts?
Yes, no, I mean, it was lovely that. I mean, it's very much sort of personalised as everyone, the way Helena puts it across. And yes, I like it. The book sounds fascinating as well.
I just think it's lovely as well. And it really shows, it's quite interesting because the Royal Foundation that the Royals set up, actually, Prince and Princess of Wales, I do believe Prince Harry was involved as well. Quite interesting, because obviously that was actually the Princess of Wales' idea, and we didn't know at the time that her brother was struggling so much with his mental health. And when you look back, you see how she was such a strong force in that. So she has a lot of, because apparently the family went to lots of CBT courses with him to really help him. So she learned a lot, and that was before the Royal Foundation was set up. Quite interesting to know, because I think there's been a lot of mud throwing when a certain Meghan mentioned about having mental health challenges and no one was there to help her. And I cannot believe it.
Yeah.
I really cannot believe it. There you go. But it's an interesting one. Yeah, so it's good. I'm so happy as well to see the Princess of Wales out and about and just sneaking around, having a few little break in Aberdeen as well. Everyone was like, why is she there? What's she there for? Hey, she's got a life,
Yeah.
She's supporting Prince William on his jobs and having a little break. So I think I just feel really pleased that hopefully things are moving to a little bit of normality for her and her family.
Yeah, that's really great. Well, I know we could talk about so much more, but we have to move on, and I'm so sad because I do have so many thoughts. But anyway, Simon, are you ready?
Yes, I am indeed. Yes. And well, today, let's start off again with this new section, Strange but True Facts. Researching through all of the different things that I'm researching on a regular basis, I come across these sort of strange things, but these are true. And let's start off. The mayor of a historical district in Alaska was a cat named Stubbs, who served until his death in 2017. Moving on. In Israel, it's illegal to bring bears to the beach. Well, I mean, who would? Going around bearskin on the beach in Israel? I don't think so. Originally, the Eiffel Tower was going to be erected in Barcelona, but the project was rejected because the citizens thought it was an eyesore. Well, I've seen some buildings in Barcelona, and if you think the Eiffel Tower is an eyesore, wow, you want to see these. Next, we have Pope Francis used to be a nightclub bouncer. Well, there's a way that he's going to make sure you're going to stay awake through the sermon with that one. In 2014, a missing woman on vacation in Iceland was found when it was discovered that she was in the search party looking for herself. So there we have this week's Strange but True. And yes, I just wonder at the reaction, the faces and so on for the in the search party when she realised that she was actually out there looking for herself. It's a slight embarrassment, that one. Anyway, today, moving on from that, doing a piece on a remarkable person who's a minister and very soft-spoken West Highlander from the islands as well, a chap called Donald McCaskey. Sorry, just Donald Caskey. There's no Mac. Yeah, there we are. Anyway, I'm getting one of these days of confusion. So, Donald Caskey, he was born the son of a crofter. Crofts are small-scale farms in the Scottish Highlands and Islands. He was born in Bowmore on the beautiful west coast island of Islay in 1902. Islay is famous for producing some of the world's finest malt whiskies, which I thoroughly enjoy. Now, Donald was educated at Bowmore School and then on to the mainland to Dunoon Grammar School before studying arts and divinity at the University of Edinburgh. His first charge was at Gretna in the Scottish borders before becoming a minister of the Scottish Kirk in Paris in 1938. A 2001 Gaelic language documentary aired on BBC Two stated that Caskey was actually homosexual, with the documentarian Angus Peter Campbell saying that Caskey lived a life as a man who was straight at home and gay abroad. But having denounced the evils of Nazism from the pulpit following the German invasion of France in 1940, Caskey had to flee from Paris. Instead of trying to return home, as strongly advised by staff of the Church of Scotland offices in Edinburgh, he actually fled south, eventually ending up in Marseille on the French south coast, having refused the opportunity of a place on the last ship to Britain leaving Bayonne. At the British Seamen's Mission in Marseille, Caskey set up a refuge for stranded Britons, and he would even send telegrams to the Church of Scotland offices in Edinburgh, informing them of the number of British service personnel who had escaped. Dr. Caskey, a native Gaelic speaker whose code name was Monsieur le Canard, or Donald Duck, was eventually recruited by British intelligence officers and was told that his mission was the last link of a chain of safe houses that they'd set up, which stretched from Dunkirk to Marseille. With the help of Lieutenant Commander Pat O'Leary of the Royal Navy, later awarded the George Cross, British intelligence, local clergyman Pastor Marcel Houzé, the American consular authorities, and others, Caskey helped as many as 500 Allied service personnel to flee from France. Caskey came under the suspicion of the Vichy France and the German authorities, and a fellow Briton betrayed him. Pastor Houzé was one of the many to be executed. Lack of evidence saved Caskey's life for the first time. Instead, he received a suspended prison sentence and was ordered to leave Marseille. This was partly helped by Caskey's ability to speak Gaelic as a native, which confounded his interrogator somewhat. Caskey then headed for Grenoble, where he was employed by the university and acted as a chaplain for interned British soldiers and resident civilians. The Germans later ordered that all British-born civilians in the occupied countries be interned in Germany. Well, Caskey managed to influence an Italian commandant to release many of them. But Donald Caskey was arrested again and spent some time in an Italian custody in San Remo and held in the Old Fortress prison. Later, in 1943, he was transferred back to Germany, custody, and eventually put on trial in Fresnes and sentenced to death. Awaiting execution by firing squad, Caskey asked to see a pastor, and this saved his life. The German army padre, Hans Helmut Peters, successfully appealed to Berlin to spare Caskey. He then spent the rest of the war in a prisoner of war camp, resuming his ministry in Paris after the war. Now, the Scots Kirk in Paris had been unused throughout the war years, and lack of maintenance led the church to having to be rebuilt during the 1950s. To help pay for the rebuilding, his autobiographical account of his extraordinary wartime activities was published as the Tartan Pimpernel in 1957. The 1950s building proved to have serious defects and actually had to be rebuilt again in the late 1990s, Caskey's book being again reissued. Well, Donald Caskey finally returned to Scotland as a minister in the Old Gourock Church, where I had the privilege of meeting him, and this was our family church. In 1967, he became a minister at Weems Bay in Skelmerley, just a few miles south of Gourock on the Firth of Clyde. I remember Donald Caskey coming to dinner at our house in Kilmacombe with my parents. He was a kind gentleman in every sense of the word, with a soft, almost melodic West Highland lilt in his voice, belying the man whose bravery and dedication had saved so many lives over the course of World War II. He retired to Edinburgh in the early 70s and lived the final year of his life with his younger brother in Greenock. He died in 1983 and is buried at Beaumore on the island of Islay. Various personal artifacts, including his wartime medals, can be seen at the Killaro Parish Church in Beaumore. It's an amazing church. It's round, it's a circular church and a beautiful building. He was appointed an officer of the Order of the British Empire, or the OBE, in June 1945 for services to the forces in France. He was honoured by the French government for his wartime service. The Allied France-Écosse Society erected a memorial plaque at the Rue de Forbin in Marseille, in France. On the 26th of October 2019, a memorial plaque marking his work was unveiled at the Fort de la Rêve near Nice by Le Devoir de Mémoire Organisation, which honours those affected by the war, including resistance fighters. Around 100 people attended the unveiling ceremony on La Rue Bayard, including local church members and representatives from the Mairie de Paris, that's the Paris City Hall, and the Scottish Government. Bagpiper Francis Sykes greeted the guests with renditions of Auld Lang Syne, Flower of Scotland, Highland Cathedral, Scotland the Brave, and the Skye Boat Song. Local school pupils read aloud in English and French extracts from Dr. Caskey's book, The Tartan Pimpernel, which tells how he fearlessly worked with the French resistance to help trapped or imprisoned airmen, seamen and soldiers escape Nazi-occupied France. There's a ring attached to the wall underneath the memorial plaque for flowers, which are placed there every August by the Mairie de Paris, in honour of the resistance fighters around the date when the city was liberated after 3 years of occupation. I pause to wonder how many young and not so young people today actually know the story of Donald Caskey. That's why plaques such as this one and the ceremony organised by the Mairie de Paris are so important if we're to recognise and keep alive the memory of such selfless fortitude. A gentle voice, but one of Scotland's great heroes.
Wow. You're
He's quite a
right.
man. He's an extraordinary man. He's just and such a gentleman as well. I mean, to hear him speak, you would never for a minute imagine what that man had gone through to save so many lives in the war. Extraordinary man.
So important, isn't it, as well, to keep the memory alive?
Oh,
The
very.
memory alive of obviously,
Yes.
Caskey, but in general of people, because people do
Yes.
so much good, and you think when they pass, people forget, but you keep the memory alive. That's what it's
That's
all
it.
about.
Yes, so important. I mean, I keep thinking that when I've been doing these pieces on on World War II and really through Scottish history, that it is so important to keep these memories going and just reflect. This is how we got here.
Not only that, but for young kids to see real leaders and things and situations that are very, very difficult, and that they can, get through it. And it's important for our children today to figure out how they can make it through things and be inspired by people from the past. What do y'all think?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely. And I
definitely.
think as well, it highlights different work ethics as well, I would say. Because I think sometimes, I can just say that probably from my nieces and nephews when I think about they have a different thought process, but, a lot of graft and hard work sometimes goes into, whether it's Caskey or whoever it may be, and especially the young people today can learn from that. It's good to work hard and work towards something that you really, really are passionate about. It just very rarely just comes to people like that. You do have to put the work in.
Yes, it's we all learn. Life is just one big learning circle the whole time. We never stop learning. It's interesting.
It does. And I have to tell you why I kind of laughed a little bit, Helena, when you made a comment about, because I don't know about where y'all are, but in some of the workforces when my kiddos share what's going on, because the kids over here in America have been cuddled so much, they're like, oh, I think I need a day off because, I worked hard yesterday.
Oh, wow. Exactly. There you go. It's in pudding.
Like, oh, where's my safe place at work when I need to just hold my stuffed animal? Catherine's like, what? Oh, I shouldn't have said her name. Sorry.
No, it's true, isn't it? That's good.
So you guys keep telling us about great leaders. I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Well, as you know, this is going super fast, but I think we have enough time for On This Day real quick.
Oh, right. Okay. Yes, of course we've got to. Can't go a day without On This Day. So, right. Yes, I'm having problems with my teleprompter today. It's one of these days. So, okay, let's start. In 1789, U.S. Congress proposes the Bill of Rights. 1924, Malcolm Campbell sets the world auto speed record at a staggering pace of 146.16 miles per hour. The average car can do that now. In 1981, Sandra Day O'Connor was sworn in as the first female US Supreme Court Justice. Birthdays today. In 1764, Fletcher Christian, the English sailor who led mutiny in the Bounty, was born in Eaglesfield in Cumberland in England. Then in 1944, Michael Douglas, the American actor, famous for Wall Street and Jewel of the Nile and numerous other movies, was born in New Brunswick, New Jersey. He's 79 today. Happy birthday, Michael. In 1952, Christopher Reeve, the American actor, famous for being Superman, was born in New York City. Sadly, he died from the injuries he sustained in a horse riding accident later on. For deaths today, in 1974, Coco the Clown, arguably probably the world's most famous clown, Russian-born British clown and famous in the mid-20th century, dies at the age of 73. In 2012, Andy Williams, the American singer, Moon River and Only Fools Rush In, Don't Ask Me to Sing It, he dies of bladder cancer, aged 84. Then in 2016, Arnold Palmer, the American golfer, 7 major titles, including US Masters 1958, 1960, 62, and 64, dies of heart failure, aged 87. So there we have on this day today.
You're always so full of so much information, so incredible. And I must say, I did love listening to Andy Williams sing. He
got a voice like velvet. He really did. I mean, I remember as a kid watching the Andy Williams show in black and white on television. And yeah, I mean, his voice was quite unique. I've never known anybody else with a voice like it. Extraordinary man.
Right. I think you're right. Well, in closing, Helena, do you have anything special you'd like to share with everyone?
No, I was just thinking to myself, why is it that you can't take a bear on the beach?
Strange but true. Yes. We're going to be thinking that one out all week.
No, just everyone find your joy. That's always that simple thing that is just so important. And thank you so much for today. Thank you, Jacalyn, behind the scenes, Dr. J, and also Dianne, and good to see Simon as always. So thank you very much.
Oh, thank you, Simon.
Yeah, well, just as a thought to leave you with this week as well, that if you're going to borrow money, then borrow it from a pessimist, because they really don't expect it back.
That's a first.
That is so hysterical. You were so funny. And mine, as always, is have peace and love, which complements Helena's joy. Thank you both for being here, bringing us your wonderful news of the day. Simon, your incredible history. And I will see you guys next week.
Yes. Till next week.
Yeah, until next week. Well, everyone else, please stay tuned for the Anne Scotland show. The podcast maestro launches it. It's a pretty incredible show. Be sure to tune in for our new shows, The Next Level Coaching with Robert J. Moore, followed by the International Productivity Tips with Megan Sandwig. Believe it or not, we even have more shows, so I don't even know if you'll have time to run to the restroom because the shows are so great. You have to make sure that you catch the Royal Breaking News, which will be on later today, and the Scottish Connection with our own true lovely Simon Macdonald. Wherever you are in the world, I hope your day is filled with peace and love. Bye for now.